Dear students, in this video we will solve the margin questions, English workshop questions and the language study question from the lesson The Fall of Troy. इसी लेसन के मैंने मार्जिन क्वेश्चन, इंग्लिश वर्कशॉप क्वेश्चन और लैंग्वेज स्टडी के क्वेश्चंस का एक उर्दू और हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन और एक्सप्लेनेशन वीडियो भी बनाया है। अगर आप चाहे तो उसको मेरे चैनल पर चेक कर सकते हैं, लिंक उसका आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा। So now we will start with the margin question, and the first margin question is, how did the location of Troy help it to grow into a very rich city, prosperous city? So answer is, the location of Troy helped it to grow into a very rich or prosperous city because in front of Troy was the sea over which sailed the ships of the city, carrying goods and grain. At the back rose the high peak of Mount Ida, from which flowed many rivers and streams. The valleys among the hills were well watered and fertile, with corn growing in fertile fields and cattle feeding on the rich grass of the meadows, while sheep fed on the slopes of the hills. Second question is, how were the Trojans protected during wartime? So answer is, during wartime the gates of Troy would be closed, and then the city was like a strong fortress, quite safe from all attack, protected by the walls surrounding it as well as by the hills behind. Third question is, what was the cause of the 10-year-old war between the Greeks and Trojans? So answer is, a war broke out between Greeks and Trojans because Paris, a prince of Troy, had persuaded Helen, wife of Greek king Menelaus, to elope with him. He had brought her to Troy. The Greeks wanted to take revenge on Troy for the wrong done to Menelaus. They sailed to Troy and laid siege to the city. The Trojans too fought hard, and the siege continued for 10 long years. Fourth question is, who were the brave heroes on either side who were killed in the war? So answer is, the brave heroes who were killed on either side were Hector and Achilles. Fifth question is, read the story and retell it in your mother tongue. When you retell a story, you tell it using your style and not translate it word by word. So answer, student will tell the story in the classroom in their mother tongue. So आपको ये जो story है तो उसको आपकी mother tongue में बोलना है. Now we will start the English workshop, and the first English workshop question is, find the antonyms of the following from the passage. So A, barren, fertile. B, offended, pleased. C, cowardly, bravely. D, peace, war. E, surrender, attack. F, exposed, protected. G, defenseless, defended. So second question is, correct the following sentences using facts from the passage. So sentence A is, Troy traded in cattle and grass with other cities. So correct sentence is, Troy traded in goods and grains with other cities. B sentence is, during war, Trojans jumped over the fort gate and their soldiers to fight the enemies. So correct sentence is, during war the gates of Troy would be closed and the soldiers were safe inside the city protected by the walls. C sentence is, Helen escaped with Menelaus. So correct sentence is, Helen escaped with Paris. D sentence is, the Greeks armies and heroes always defeated the Trojans. So correct sentence is, sometimes the Trojans had the better of it and sometimes the Greeks. E is, both the enemies were eager to continue fighting. So correct sentence is, the Trojans were tired of being shut up in their cities and the Greeks were longing to see their homes again. F sentence is, Troy was attacked because it was a strong rich city. So correct sentence is, Troy was attacked because Paris, a prince of Troy, has persuaded Helen, wife of Greek king Menelaus, to elope with him. He had brought her to Troy. The Greeks wanted to take revenge on Troy for the wrong done to Menelaus. Third question is, state the counter action for the following action. So A is, action, Helen eloped with Paris. So counter action was, the Greeks sailed to Troy and laid siege to the city to take the revenge. B is, action, the Greeks sailed to Troy and attacked it. Counter action was, the Trojans fought hard and the siege continued for 10 long years. C is, action, Hector was killed by Achilles. Counter action was, Achilles himself was killed later on by a poisoned arrow that entered his heel. D is, the siege continued for 10 long years. So counter action was, the Trojans were tired of being shut up in their city and the Greeks were longing to see their homes again. E action is the fighting went on daily. So counter action was the siege did not end. On one hand, the Greeks could not take the city, and on the other hand, the Trojans could not force them to sail away. Sometimes the Trojans had the better of the war, and sometimes the Greeks did. Fourth question is, from either of our two Indian epics, find out which battle or war lasted the longest. Write down about its cause, the enemy armies, its heroes, its duration, and the final outcome. So answer we will write about Mahabharata. Cause Duryodhan, the eldest of the king Kauravas, who took the kingdom of Hastinapur forcibly, that was governed by the Pandavas. So the war broke out. The enemy army, 100 Kauravas, Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, and King Karna, Shakuni, and others fought alongside the Kauravas, whereas 5 Pandavas and King Drupad and his son King Virat and others were with Pandavas. Heroes: Pandavas, Dharmaraj, Parth, Bhim, Nakul, and Sahadev. Duration: the war lasted for 18 days. Final outcome: the Pandavas defeated the Kauravas and took the control of their lost kingdom Hastinapur. But all the great kings were killed except Ashwathama. Now we will see the language study questions, and the first question is, underline the subjects in the following sentences. So sentence A is, Paris had brought her to Troy. So Paris is the subject. B is, the Greeks waited to take the revenge on Troy. Greeks is the subject here. C is, the Greek armies sailed to Troy. So the word Greek armies is subject. D is, the Trojans too fought hard. The Trojans is subject. E, the fighting went on. So fighting word is subject. Here we see that ing form of the verb fight is used as a subject in the sentence the fighting went on. It does the work of a noun. When the ing form of a verb is used as a noun, it is known as a gerund or a verbal noun. यानी इस सेंटेंस में हम देख रहे हैं कि फाइटिंग जो वर्ड है तो वो फाइट वर्ब की ing फॉर्म है और एक नाउन के तौर पर यूज किया जा रहा है. तो अगर किसी वर्ब के ing फॉर्म को अगर हम एज अ नाउन यूज करते हैं तो हम उसे जीरंड या वर्बल नाउन कहते हैं. रीड द फॉलोइंग एग्जांपल्स ऑफ जीरंड. गार्डनिंग इज एन आर्ट. कुकिंग इज अ साइंस. आई एंजॉय रीडिंग पोएम्स. आई लाइक रीडिंग मोर देन राइटिंग. Rewrite the above sentences using other appropriate gerunds in place of the ones given here. Gardening is an art. So we will write the answer. Painting, acting, singing, dancing is an art. Cooking is a science. So answer is house building is a science. I enjoy reading poems. I enjoy writing articles. I like reading more than writing. So I like watching songs more than listening to them. So these were the margin questions, English workshop questions and language study questions from the lesson The Fall of Troy Part 1. I hope कि आप लोगों ने इस वीडियो की मदद से ये पूरे क्वेश्चंस को लिखा होगा. अगर आप लोगों का कोई भी डाउट या क्वेश्चन हो तो कमेंट सेक्शन में ज़रूर पूछिए. वीडियो पसंद आए तो इसे लाइक कीजिए और अपने फ्रेंड के साथ में शेयर कीजिए. और इसी तरह की इन्फॉर्मेटिव और एजुकेशनल वीडियोज़ के लिए मेरे चैनल को ज़रूर सब्सक्राइब कीजिए. आई विल सी यू इन माई